she is. And I finally put some time in and started exploring my new Marshall amp as a pedal platform. And yes, she even gives me sounds that I was not able to get with this monster. So very, very happy. And as you can tell, and I'm going to show you more of that, it's very far from sounding vintage and low gain. And that's because I have some high gain pedals in the chains, and it works really well with this amp. First things first, here I am playing. Of course, I don't have my right hand available right now, so yeah. There we go. Now, I want to show you some more stuff because this is just for some riffing, but I actually found a better sound for my lead stuff. So let me just tweak some pedals. By the way, here's what I'm tweaking. So I have this 10-band EQ engaged. I'm going to turn that off. This is really responsible for a lot of the gain, but I also have the tube screamer going into that. So now I'm going to turn things down a little bit for, how did I have them? I think something like that. For lead, and let's try that out. Maybe. Greetings, Eisen Kyler. How you doing, man? So let me just turn. Here we go. Back. Now I wanna. So I don't know if you can tell, but this is giving me a kind of round and low mid-rangey kind of tone that I was also, that's one of the things I love with the Mesa Boogie. It's so good at that. But it's not bad. But it has this really direct sound. It sounds like the note is happening almost before I hit it. And it also has lots of cool high end going on. And that's the thing I can tweak. I can get a whole lot more than this. Lots of things to explore here, but I just wanted to let you know that I finally worked it out, and it's really giving me high gain tones now. I did think that the like the vintage and the what's it called, like the plexi type sounds were pretty cool, but it's not something I use a whole lot. I did use it for a bunch of recordings and shorts and stuff like that, but when I'm just jamming, I want something that's a little bit more pushed and a little bit more liquid. Cool, we got some people on Instagram. Can I buy the same pick on Amazon? So this is a chicken pick. I'm not sure they're available on Amazon. They should be, because they are in regular like online guitar stores. So maybe search for Chicken Picks Bermuda. And if you find it on Amazon, it's probably this one. They are a little bit pricier than regular plastic picks, but I think they're awesome. I almost missed today's stream too. No, you didn't, because we just started. So you're here in time, Mr. Guitar Bastion. Okay, we had a first technique question there. Technique pentatonic scale. So let's see here. I'm going to use the Marshall sound for this session. We can always tweak it some more, but I have quite a bit of control on my desk here, since I have the Tube Screamer and the Friedman BEOD here. So yeah, hopefully we're good. Yeah, the name is Chicken Pick. It's a little bit weird, but that's the name of it. Chicken Pick. Chicken Picks. Yeah, we got my man Fred Hinkle. That's awesome. So Bolode Wusada Wirat. Sorry for butchering that one. On Instagram, you're saying technique pentatonic scale. So are you looking to learn something specific, or is just in general how you can, play the pentatonic scale with a good speed and that kind of thing? Ooh, Golden Light, first time. Welcome to the stream. Happy to have you first time, man. Okay, so let's hit that metronome. Let's play a little bit, and we can speak about pentatonic technique, and we can get discussing anything you want. Sorry about that. Let's see if we can. especially the first time I sit and practice with this sound. I'm gonna turn down the brightness even more. Ronette! No problem, mate. No problem. I mean, this sounds very cool, just like my Mesa did, and this is much, much cheaper. Brazil, how you doing, man? Guitar Bastion, if you have a Strat knockoff, then the shape should be the same, and reach, I guess, isn't the best, just like here. Low strings, that's just the way it is. You know, it's a sacrifice of tone, because this type of guitar construction has a well-known tone, I would say, so it's kind of worth it for that. You can buy like neck through guitars and stuff like that. They're usually more expensive and they sound a little different, but those have better reach. Though it's basically the bolt-on. This is also a bolt-on guitar that does it. And if you have a neck through, well, yeah, you can't do much about it. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry, mate. The reach isn't super good here either on the bass strings. Oh, Fred, can't wait to spring. Actually, it's pretty springy here today. We had like 9 or 10 degrees. I was happy. GT Ram, what's up, man? So I'm gonna tweak the amp a little bit, turn down the tilt knob. I want the warmer, even warmer and less. You know, I can guarantee you I'm gonna do the classic error of trying to dial this new amp in to sound the way my old amp does. And it's just silly, because what you should do is accept the new sound. So maybe I'll try accepting it a little bit more before I start tweaking it. Like, no, I want it to sound like my Boogie, but no, you bought a new amp for a freaking reason. And now I have a good sound as well, so there's no point in changing it. Let's try it a bit more. Watching me in vertical, love it, Metal Man. But how do you do that? Do you turn the phone around? Just curious. It should be, oh, vertical, sorry, yeah, it's vertical for sure. I thought you said horizontal, but I usually live stream in vertical. Okay, let's do it. Let's practice now with this new sound. I'm gonna be in E minor. You can join me if you want to. Speed it up a little bit. This is an EVH Wolfgang standard. I think I paid like 500 or 600 euros for it, like 10 years ago. Bought it new. It's a great guitar, love it. I've had some issues with the trem though, but the neck is just the best, super thin and nice. I love the bluesy diddly-doos. I'm not used to the pickup switch up here. I'm gonna have to practice that going back and forth. Grace, I remember you for sure. Are you Grace or are you Grit, Kev? GD, what's up? From Myanmar, that's awesome. So I have go-to trem here now. It's pretty good, but it still isn't quite as stable as I wanted to after bending. So I think it might be the, what are they called? I have to change the, I don't remember what they're called. These screws that go into the guitar body. That's right, I love my outfit. It's my studio outfit. Lower the tempo a little bit. I need to maybe So Grace on Instagram is saying you bought a practice and it's called Nux. So is it Nu X, like the brand Nu X practice amp? Because I've had a bit of cooperation with them, and I've tried a really good product, which was like a wireless in-ear stuff. So they seem to be super high quality. So I've never played the amp, but probably a good value for money, I would guess. CHS 91, I've been playing for around 30 years. These are questions from Instagram, by the way. A little bit loud. I'm not used to that. Let's turn it down. I don't like loud amps. Maybe that's a bit of a blasphemous thing to say. No, I only know the company New X, and my impression is that they do pretty good stuff, but I have no idea how that amp sounds or if it's any good. Cool question coming from CHS on Instagram. What inspires me to play guitar? Oh, that's a good question. To me now, it's just it's become something I do since I was like a young adult. It's the thing that gets me going. You know, if I don't play guitar, I just can't live anymore. So that's, I guess, is what inspires me to play. If I just can't not play, you know. But of course, it's a lot of music that goes into that, but also the fact that I've spent so much time learning to express myself on guitar. So it's a bit like, you know, if you were never allowed to speak to anybody, you would go crazy, right? It's the same thing with, if I can't play, then that's a language, and I speak with someone, if it's my inner soul or with you guys, whoever. If I can't do that, it makes me go crazy. So I think that's what inspires me. What's the advice you can give to an intermediate player? What can I work on? Okay. If you're looking to play lead guitar, one of the things, you know, I see almost always intermediate guitarists not prioritizing are things like you know, tone and bending and vibrato. I'm not saying you're not bending, I'm just saying that, you know, intermediate guitarists who want to get advanced, they seem to practice a lot of technique, which is all fine, you know, playing fast, and that's all good stuff, and these are huge topics that can be discussed as well. But I don't see quite as many thinking that, hey, it's going to take me years to develop this amazing picking technique, but why don't I spend a little bit of time developing killer vibrato and tone? Because that takes time, but if I focus on it, that can be much quicker than having the best picking technique in the world, and you're going to sound so much musical, so much more musical, and just be more useful as a guitarist if you do that stuff. So that would be my number one thing. Get in control of your bends. Make sure you can bend on every string. Well, I'm not in control. That's vibrato practice. Even bending is the best vibrato practice. So even if you can't do that, you can still sound amazing if you do. You know, that kind of thing is just as pleasing to the ears, if not more. So that would be my advice. That would be a way to quickly stop sounding like an intermediate guitarist, you know. most intermediate guitarists think they already, know how to bend, so now let's learn to play fast. You can still learn to play fast, but work a bit more on your vibrato, and you're not going to sound like an intermediate guitarist anymore. When you were an intermediate guitarist, which famous guitarist made you think, I wish I played like him? A good question there from Instagram. So, in terms of sound, it was most likely Eric Johnson. I wish I could sound like him, Eric Johnson, and also Blues Saraceno. And up to this day, I would like to get his, tone, the tone he had from from his instrumental albums, like the first 3 he did. So that's sound-wise. Now, of course, technique and playing-wise, I had more inspirations like, Yngwie, Marty Friedman, Alan Holdsworth. He's also pretty cool sound-wise, I have to say. I don't know how he got his sound, Greg Howe, but sound-wise, I would think it would have been Eric Johnson for sure. And I didn't care or know too much about gear, so I tried to do everything I could to emulate his sound just with the playing, that's how I don't know if you can hear, there are a little bit of Eric Johnson similarities there, although the tone is very different. I have like a, high gain metal tone. Junior, how you doing, man? Let's practice some more. Cool. Eisenkaller says you can hear the Saraceno influence. That's awesome, man. Yeah, and a lot of, I think the biggest thing I got from him, even though I'm still trying to figure out the sound thing, I'd say Blue Saraceno is part of the reason why I wanted to have a greenback cab. I mean, it's a classic speaker, but just to try to get a little bit closer to his stuff. But the main thing I got was really the swingy type of phrasing, he would do not quite like that, but he had something that was not your average straightforward rock licks, and that was very inspirational. Yeah, exactly. Cool, we got Hussein here, spoke with me yesterday, I think I remember. And we got, is it Anton? I can't say the Slavic username. Yeah, so Blue Saraceno, let's grab a swingier rhythm, and we can do this kind of thing. This. Let's see if we can. So this to me is inspired by blues, although, I never really bothered, and that's with almost all my influences, I never really bothered learning more than maybe a few solos and some of my favorite licks, and it's the same with him, but just enough to kind of understand that he did something different with that rhythm. Ah, that was tricky. So I'm trying to do the same thing. I think I started doing this yesterday or something in the live stream, to actually play without swinging phrasing, but with tapping, which is a major challenge to me. Because you don't quite have the same control over rhythm and dynamics, I find, when you don't have a pick involved. And with tapping, it's just left and right hand. Biku, thank you. You're gonna apply the same type of swingy rhythm to riffs as well. Playing in the like E blues just. So this is hard, I think, playing with this kind of, you know, I'm not playing, I'm doing Biku, I'm playing in E minor now. Yeah, J.K. Lee and Van Halen. I've never really transcribed any of their stuff, but you know, I've heard a lot of Ozzy and Van Halen, obviously. So Biku, it's also like E blues, right? Exactly, bebop rock, that's what I like, and that's what I like with Blues Saracen. bit lower gain setting. Maybe charge the phone so it doesn't die. Paul Gilbert, yeah, I did, learn a bit from his REH tape back in the days. It doesn't feel like a Paul Gilbert day today, though, to be honest. But he did these. But again, I think I don't have a Paul Gilbert day today. Sometimes I'm really doing these shreddy sessions. But today I think it's more of a slower play. Wow, practice. Vibrato practice, super important. Practice makes perfect. Good saying there, Birko on Instagram. Tricky. So another thing that's kind of hard, I think, is going between riffing and tapping. That's very tricky, because with tapping you don't use any pick and you have to bring your whole right hand to the fretboard. Whereas obviously when you're playing riffs and rhythm guitar, you're going to be yeah, that's something I'm working on. Nada Films on Instagram is asking, how do you get that sustain? What's up, man, by the way? Sustain today, I guess, is coming from high gain amp, or actually not high gain amp, but high gain pedals into plexi style Marshall amp. So yeah, good sustain. It's docked, the tremolo. Very good sustain, I agree. I hadn't thought about that. I guess this is pretty average. I mean, it's always harder to get the lead notes to sustain, I think. Let's try some more of the going into from riff to tapping. That's better. Okay, so I have a question by Biku on Instagram. So how to make a solo chord progression? So to me, just any chord progression that sounds good is a solo chord progression. So to me, it's like how do you come up with a chord progression? And I'm not sure I'm the best person in the world to answer that, but I like when my chord progressions have melodic movement. So I don't really like, you know, you know, it's more fun if it's like, you know, there's something happening like that. So what you can do if you're working with power chords, you can stretch or compress your power chords. So E5, and then you can stretch the root down to here, which technically makes it like a probably like a B major chord, but we don't have to think of it that way. You know, that's an example. Also, just, you know, having small melodies in between riffs is cool, or chords. So if you're going from E to F sharp, it's more fun if there's something happening in between. So instead of just doing, you know, you could do. So I add these like rhythm notes between. So. And that's one way you can kind of spice up standard chord progressions. video lesson. What's up? Doing good, jazz guitar video lessons. I'm just exploring my new Marshall amp, and I finally plugged some pedals into it and made good use of them, because now it sounds like a super high gain amp, not just like a vintage Plexi style amp. So it's a lot of fun, but also a lot of getting used to, because I mean, it's a good sound. Well, I think it's a good sound, but it's also very different from what I typically do. So I have to kind of resist the urge to constantly try to dial it in so it sounds more like my regular Mesa Boogie amp, which doesn't make sense because it's not the Mesa Boogie amp, and I got this amp because I wanted a different kind of sound. Biku, solo and chord progression lesson. I think maybe what you need is go to my Patreon and find one of the free etudes there with both chords and solos. Maybe that could work. I don't know. I also have quite a few of those lessons on the Guitar Masterclass website. So if you search for Christopher Dahl there, you're going to find all my lessons. Guitar bus change, you didn't miss too much. Well, maybe you did. We were practicing, which is important, but we can practice some more. Oh yes, harmonic minor Phrygian. Let's do some Phrygian riffing and see if we can improvise in that as well. It's going to be a challenge I don't do too often. So let's do E Phrygian dominant. Try this. The easiest way is just to play 0, 1, 4, 5. There you have your first notes from the Phrygian scale. Practice this, so maybe I can dial in a slightly more metalish sound here. this was hard. It was fun. Try some lead stuff. What's up? We got Connect Guitar Power. I like it. So I'm practicing some Phrygian dominant here, which I haven't done in a long time. Keys are, no, I never saw the song. Did you send it via private message? I didn't see any song. Sorry, mate. Well, on which platform did you send it? It could be that it got filtered out in my Instagram. Then I have to go search in the, like, it's not spam, but you know, when you send to someone who isn't a contact, it doesn't get shown. Maybe that's it. Okay, I should check my spam folder then, sorry. Okay, so cool question there by Guitar Bastion. What is best, to know lots of theory or to know lots of technique? So first of all, to apply a lot of theory on the guitar, you still have to have some technique, right? Otherwise, you're just this theory wizard who can't play the stuff. But I think I get your point, basically, like, if you want to push it to the extreme, do you want to know lots of theory or lots of technique? I just think that lots of theory doesn't make that much sense, I guess, unless your goal is really just to, I don't know, maybe compose things or stuff like that, or arrange advanced classical pieces. But otherwise, it's all, you know, the bottle, what's it called, like the bottleneck, the critical ability is still going to be, you know, whether you can play the stuff or not. So technique is always going to be king in that perspective. But it, you know, theory doesn't hurt. I think that there's a big gap also between like technique, where are we? Technique and theory, you know, because you can learn technique and you can learn theory, but it's the thing in the middle, like licks and tone and phrasing and rhythm. That's the thing that matters. The other two are like extremes in a way. They're needed, but it's the middle thing that counts. That's what I would say. Oh, so yeah, the bottleneck. What did I say? The bottle. Yeah, that's going to be the bottleneck. Sometimes technical skills doesn't matter. It's all about passion. Yeah. Of course. I mean, if you use a technique that is freed from expression and passion, you can always ask yourself what it's for. I mean, I said the bottleneck. Okay. Oh, bottleneck. Oh, I just pronounced it wrong then. I meant bottleneck. Bowl neck is cool as well. What is that? Is that even a thing? Anyhow, yeah, exactly. Play balanced would be one way to express it, but also, I think there are kind of exceptions where it's okay to like play. If you only want to play super fast and you enjoy it, then that's fine. But if you have aspirations for other people to enjoy it, you're going to be disappointed. Maybe you even want to take your guitar playing to a place where you play with a band or play with someone else. And that's when just being fast isn't going to cut it, right? But again, if you're only playing for your own sake and maybe record some crazy social media videos, then by all means, be free from passion and play fast. I don't mind. But for me, I would probably not like the sound of my playing if it didn't contain some amount of expression as well. But of course, it's one of those things I'm constantly working on, because it's so hard to express yourself in different ways, and also in a way that matches what you're trying to do. That's like the big challenge. And technique and theory, they are two tools that are there to help you achieve that, in my opinion. How you doing, man? What gauge you running? So right now it's a custom set 09 to 46 Elixir. These are the strings I've been playing for a long time, and they're great because I don't have to change them as often. I have to say that I much prefer these days like 08s. And I have some Ernie Ball strings that I love on my Strat. But this one I haven't changed it yet. I'm not sure I will, because this one I play more rhythm with it, and that's why it's cool to have a little bit thicker in the bass. Yeah, exactly. I'm not playing in a band, at least not currently, but I'd love to do, and also maybe meet up some people and write some music. That would be fun. But for now, it's just playing and improvising. That's what counts. Awesome, Duke. You're always impressed by my improv abilities. Big thanks, man. Yeah, that's what I work on. I try to get better all the time. Thanks for digging, man. Tihan, what's up? Cool question. My favorite guitar tubers. So I'm not really that good at following anybody closely, but I like the what's it called, Danny Sapko, the drama dude. Or I don't know if it's drama what he does, but it's funny videos, and you know, he covered a lot of the early guitar faking with the Giacomo Turra dude and some others. It's funny because he contacted me, Giacomo, a long time ago when I think it was like 6 years ago or something, when I did a lot of Instagram content only. These days I post on all social media channels, but back in the day it was just Instagram. And he wanted to collaborate, but I wasn't really in a phase to do that. It would have been interesting though if we had done that. Then I would have been in one of his fake collabs then, I guess. I don't know. But anyhow, other YouTubers, Ola England, I met him a few times and did a few videos with him or for him for his solo guitars when they were new. But so I occasionally I check his videos. It's not like I follow him that closely, but he does a lot of cool review videos and stuff like that, and you know, a lot of amp videos. And then it's Rick Beato. Again, not closely following, but he's interviewed so many interesting people, so you can't avoid you know, checking him out. Other than that, can't even name, but you know, there are a lot of familiar faces. It's you know, depends a little bit what I'm looking for. If I'm just looking for, you know, take it easy and watch a video, then it's typically not guitar content. I have a couple of like news bloggers and things like that I follow. But if I'm looking, like, let's say I'm interested in buying something, then I'm inevitably gonna, you know, yeah, the bass guy, Sapko, exactly, Danny Sapko. Yeah, he's not even a guitar guy, that's right, but he did some videos breaking down fake guitarists. Oh, there's another one who does fake guitarists really well, but I don't know what his name is, but he's been analyzing Ichika's videos. And he's pretty cool as well. So again, just people you stumble upon because the algorithm wants you to. I'm not that good at following people. I do have some more like you know, playing oriented like short videos. Those kind of creators that I follow, I guess, a bit more closely. It's easier when the content isn't that long to, you know, follow them more closely. But I'm really bad at name, but it's the Spiroducius dude, right? Whenever he does a cool little, you know, like shred short that's usually over the top. And then I have a couple of Swedish that I also follow. Emanuel Hedberg is one, does a lot of blue stuff. There are two others, I don't remember their names though, really bad at names. One does country and the other one does jazz. Yeah. But I have started listening to K-pop a lot because my youngest daughter does, and I get to hear them all. And I must admit there's some fantastic songwriting going on there. So that's pretty cool as well, from one topic to the other. Interesting, when creating a solo, besides key, how do you know what scale to use? So when you're creating a solo, you basically have two options. You can either try to play what is happening in the background, the harmony, you know, either the exact thing, so like following the chords, or you could just follow the harmony. So if the key is E minor, you're going to play the scale of E minor. That's sort of, you know, being in what's expected. But then you can play what is not being implied or being played in the harmony. And that's when it gets interesting. Now, for a good sounding and balanced solo, you would combine both. And you would also combine what I said in the beginning with like following the chord notes and playing like the implied harmony. So it's not going to sound quite as bad or strong, sorry, but it's not gonna sound bad either. Just a second, I'm just gonna see when there's a car arriving. I want to check that it's someone who should be here. Yes. You never know when there's a car coming in, what it is. Can I sing? Well, I try to sing, but I'm pretty crappy at it, I must admit. So now, of course, when I'm soloing here, it's much easier because I don't have harmony. I just have the beat, and that gives me a lot of freedom. You know, I can go outside. So if let's say I write a song in D minor, how do I know if I should use pentatonic scale or blues scale? So both are perfectly fine. If it's in D minor, the blues scale is going to be more of like an outside note. That flat 5, or you know, the extra note contained within the blues scale, is going to be a little bit clashing. So if it's like D minor, you know, that's going to clash a little bit, but that's cool. But you don't want to play too much, just lightly touch upon it. If it's like D minor, but more like a power chord version, then you usually have more freedom and it's not going to sound as bad. But you have to use your ears, man. Especially if you're writing a solo, it should be fairly easy. It's a little bit harder when you improvise, but even that, you're gonna pretty much quickly learn how things sound. Because let's face it, we only have 12 notes to choose from. And if you jam over a lot of songs and backing tracks, you're gonna realize that Western music and pop rock music, it gets pretty predictable. You know, it isn't that innovative. It's a little bit harder when there's a modulation happening, when there's a key change happening. And that's one of the things I like with the K-pop and J-pop and that kind of thing. It's more adventurous in many ways, including, you know, the tonality. Yeah, it's definitely common to mix different scales. I do that all the time. Oh, my favorite musician. Oh. My biggest admiration is usually for people who can write songs, really good songs, and if they can perform them, that's even cooler. So James Hetfield springs to mind, of course, but lots of good examples. And then it'd be like someone like Sting. I don't know, I don't listen a lot to him. I don't know why I thought about him, but also, you know, he performs and writes incredible music. And there are lots of examples. I like Mark Knopfler, for example. But I had to choose one. That's always hard, man. Music's such a big topic. How can you choose one? You got some examples there as well. 12 notes aren't enough. Drop music 2. Well, music 2 would be like quarter notes. So you could divide each fret into 2 notes, then you would have 24 notes. But I don't know what you would do with that. Papa Het. Now you're speaking my language. Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm a huge admirer of like Kurt Cobain as well. He was incredible, I think. Just everything he did, you know, it was very, very good. Pioneering sound, guitar playing, you know, how the heck did he make those 4 chords sound so damn good? And you know, songwriting, amazing, singing. I don't know. To me, Kurt Cobain is definitely up there. It's hard. Well, he's up there in many ways. It's hard to compose something unique nowadays. Everything gets repetitive. Well, you know, I just because we have 12 notes, you know, there's still lots of room for innovation. And if I were more skilled in cover songs, then I would probably show you a couple of songs right now that have the exact same harmony, but that sound completely different. And a lot of it goes down to the arrangement, you know, the sounds, the type of singing and playing. Harmony is just a small portion of the whole picture. So just because harmony has 12 notes to choose from, you know, the rest has lots of other components, one of them being sounds, right? There are new sounds coming on a daily basis, you know, maybe new amps and pedals and guitars that are being produced, or new electronic sounds and samples and synthesizers. So I wouldn't say being innovative now is harder than it's been before. It's always been hard, you know, but yeah. Can anyone play even faster than Malmsteen? Yeah, well, I mean, you have a good point. Was there any point in pushing speed beyond Malmsteen? I guess some people would argue there are other guitarists who play faster, but it doesn't matter anymore, you know? Yngwie at his prime time was so clean and fast, why would you care? And the answer is, of course, if you're just listening for speed, then you're going to be bored anyway, right? Yngwie had his style, and he still has it. And other shredders and other great technical guitarists have other styles that you might be interested in. So I guess it's definitely worth, you know, pursuing that kind of thing. What guitar did I start on? I started on classical guitar. And it wasn't until I had an electric guitar for a couple of years that I got really serious about practicing. Zach Wild once said that Tony Iommi already wrote all the cool riffs. Everything else is just a variation of that. He has a good point, you know, but and Tony was, I mean, with that sound, he was super innovative, right? He was the first, he was a pioneer. Now, of course, if we look at you know, the chord progressions, they had been done many times before, but not with that sound. But then, of course, the riffs were interesting because, you know, just emphasizing the flat five and maybe the Phrygian notes, and have that be the whole song. Super innovative in terms of guitar. I'm sure it had been done in various different ways in jazz and stuff like that, but with that sound, I agree. And when Zach comments on that, he's definitely within the framework of metal, so his words are true. But if we were to look at the broader picture, like music in general, then probably Tony Iommi wasn't very innovative, but neither was Mozart, you know. So again, 12 notes. So it's all how you frame those notes and how you make it sound in the end that matters. Do you know that there was a sort of contradiction between Eddie and Malmsteen? Most people say that Eddie couldn't accept Malmsteen's technical playing, but what was actually the problem? Well, I can imagine they were, may Eddie rest in peace, two super big egos in rock, and it's, I think when you reach that level of fame, it's very hard not to. Well, for one, they might have seen each other as competitors, but the thing is, Eddie was selling songs as well. Yngwie was to a certain extent during the 80s, but before and after, he was mostly selling, well, I don't know if this is correct, but to me, he's generating attention thanks to his technique as well. Whereas Eddie, you know, we're among guitarists, we can speak about Eddie as a guitar innovator, but he also wrote amazing songs that sold platina. And Yngwie did less of that, but a little bit. So I guess in a way, Eddie, I don't think in terms of career-wise, and you know, he wasn't feeling threatened, maybe, unless, you know, the being a guitar god was the biggest thing for him. Then I can imagine he felt threatened. Whereas I can imagine Yngwie would feel more threatened because he's really selling the fact that he's a virtuoso these days. Who knows a new Yngwie song? Can you hum it? No, you can't. But you still know that Yngwie was shredding. Whereas Eddie, he had all these amazing songs throughout his career that he wrote. And plus there was good guitars playing all over the place. I don't know why I said that. Early days, Eddie used to listen to Malmsteen and Soul. Yeah, I'm sure they listened a lot to each other. And but Eddie was before Yngwie, right? I think there are more apparent EVHs in Yngwie's playing, especially when he does He does a little bit of tapping. I guess that's directly attributed to Ed Van Halen. Yeah, of course we can be inspired and borrow from other people. That's the spirit here. And as long as you don't blatantly copy, as some of the recent YouTube revelations, I think it's perfectly fine to be inspired and borrow. Haha, what's your daily routine like? 24, 25 hours in a day. I wish. My voice is very soothing. Thank you. So, my early routine, it was probably, it was between like 3 and 8 hours. And that's pushing it, especially if you're practicing technique. Easy to injure yourself, which I did. Now I wouldn't dream of playing a bit, quite as long. Arcadiat, what's up? Yeah, 10-pound Gibson, man, that's heavy. Yeah, I can't play Smoke on Water. I don't play cover songs. I'm really crap at it. If I tried, I wouldn't come very far. I've been struggling a bit with pinch harmonic. Question from Instagram. Any tips you'd like to drop? Okay. Let's see if I can nail them. This. So I think a lot of people understand that when they play pinch harmonic, they need to hit the string with the side of their thumb. But it doesn't sound very good. Now, if I only do that, it doesn't sound very good. And the reason why it doesn't sound good is because I'm not doing anything with those notes. I'm not shaking them. I'm not bending them. And it's actually harder to develop a bending and vibrato technique than it is to find your first pinch harmonics. So if you do it in the wrong order, you probably are getting the pinch harmonics, but they don't sound good because you can't add vibrato. So practice bending and vibrato before you try to play pinch harmonics, and then it's going to sound like this. That's really what makes it sound cool. So you can easily find a tutorial on how to play the pinch harmonics, but people don't tend to explain that, well, if you can't bend and do vibrato, it won't sound any good. So no point in even learning this tutorial. So first learn bending, then learn pinch harmonics. That's my advice. Interesting question. Why Kirk Hammett has become a joking guitarist? Is it just because of his wah or something else? So I don't know that he has become a joking guitarist, but I have noticed a certain decline in his playing ability. I don't blame him though. It must be hard to like be on the tip of the, what's the word? The tip of the iceberg, on the tip of the the business for so long, and you know, his achievements are big, and his performances are kind of graded by how well he can play his studio recordings. That's like the top ceiling. So it's like he's happy if he gets 70% there. Now he maybe gets like 60% there. And I think that's a problematic approach. I think that if I were Kirk, which I'm not, I would probably aim to play the solos at 130%, you know, play them better, play them differently. That's what James does in a way, because he's constantly evolving, especially like his vocals, right? If you hear him play the classic songs, he doesn't sing them like the studio recordings. He has new melodies going on. Of course, he sticks to the chorus and the verse, you know, things like that, but he has variations going on. I don't really see that with Kirk. Whenever I hear a variation, it's more like he did a mistake. But if he set his goal to play each solo different or better or maybe more articulate, and try to, you know, be better every time, then I think he'd be closer to, you know, sounding really good live. I think that might be a problem. I'm just guessing now, but it's hard when what you're supposed to be playing live is like, that's the best metal songs ever written. So I can understand there's an inclination not to go beyond that. His goal is really just to be able to play those amazing solos and of course the rhythms and the riffs the way they are on these amazing recordings, because that's how everybody wants to hear it. That's what he's measured by. And after freaking a career of doing that for 40 years, I can imagine it just, you know, you're very much locked into your space, and that's dangerous if you're going to keep evolving and keep being at the top of yourself. And I think currently it seems like James is the one doing his best job at that. Of course, Robert Trujillo also seems absolutely amazing, but I can see a decline in both Lars and Kirk, and I don't blame them. It must be hard. Again, your only goal is to play like the solo, like the studio recordings, and you can't really live up to it, but you're happy if you get there to 70%. To me, that would be a very uninspiring way of you know, keeping your chops up as a musician. And of course, I'm the wrong dude to ask, because I don't really want to be a touring musician, and that's not really for me, but I love music, and the thing I love with music is the freedom. So that's why you often see me just, you know, use a drum machine. I can do whatever I want. Nobody's gonna tell me that I have to play a riff like I recorded it 2 months ago, you know? I love that, but that's not Metallica. You know, Metallica writes riffs and songs, and the audience expects them to play the way they're heard. And that's a very different story. I would find it hard to keep up with that after 40 years. So I don't blame him, but I can see where you're coming from. Jerry Boy, hey there, big fan. Thank you, man. Huge fan. Wow, that's incredible. How do you rate B.B. King? I like B.B. King a lot. It's just that he's released way too much music. So I don't think in a lifetime I would have the time to dive into it. But I like, you know, his big classics. His playing is pretty good and innovative and very articulate and interesting, you know. So he's an innovator for sure. He was. May he rest in peace. Have fun, Guitar Bastion. When you will hear Eddie's 2013 live solo, you will see he's doing pinch harmonics by tapping with just one hand and using on that. So maybe something like this. These are natural harmonics, they're not pinch harmonics. But he does these things are pretty cool, I think. Let's see if we can do that. I need to work on that. So I think if it's these slap harmonics, it's basically what he's doing is this. So if you're playing like the 7th fret G string, he's playing the harmonic maybe like a 12 frets up, or maybe he's doing like a 5th or something. That would be, I don't know, 3 here. We can try. Wait. Yeah, there's a 5th as well. I don't know, but what you're doing, if that's what you meant, it's like a natural harmonic here, just like you would do this, right? But when you do it on the 12th fret, the guitar is fretting for you. But if you do it on the 7th fret, you are fretting and you're gonna play the natural harmonic an octave up. So it's a little bit harder. You need to use something to pick here. So what Eddie did with these, he just slapped the note, and once the string had hit the fret wire, he touched the note with the finger, and he allowed that to ring out. Or he touched it lightly, and that's how he got the same effect as a natural harmonic. So these are natural harmonics. It's me, Evdu. Cheers for the fire. Pretty cool. Hey, by the way, we got Sunny Berg here again. I didn't notice you were the one asking. Good to see you again. Siler was asking, how do I pick a chord progression for a song? I can never decide or find one that sounds good. You're asking about coming up with a cool chord progression. That isn't necessarily easy, but what you could try, you know, when you're experimenting with the chord progression, even if you find one that sounds decent, maybe it's not amazing, but you think it sounds decent, then do this, record the chord progression somehow. I don't know, maybe you got a digital audio workstation or just on your phone, whatever. Record that chord progression and see if you can add some notes via melody on top of it. I don't know if I can do that. Let me see here. I haven't used this pedal for a while. Let me see if I can play a loop here. So sounded really bad though. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I have a super basic chord progression now. Something like that. So it's really average, nothing fancy. I'm sure you could come up with something like this. Now, maybe just by adding notes on top of it, it can become more of a song. I don't know. Let's try. You know, by doing that, you're making the chords more complex, but you don't have to think about their names, just more harmony. So again, we're just doing like basic. So E5, G, B5, something. I'm not sure that was a good example because it sounded really bad, but I was just trying to say you can, even a boring chord progression or whatever gets interesting once you start layering on top of it. So if you're just sitting there trying to find the best chord progression in the world, maybe you already stumbled upon it, but you didn't develop it further. You're the best guitar teacher. You're so kind, Itzmebdu. I'm sorry I'm butchering your name when you're saying such nice things to me. I learned a lot from your magic. Thank you so much. Duke is saying, I feel like I learned a lot from your lives, even though I don't have a guitar in my hand. Awesome, awesome. That's the goal. I mean, I often say that, like, if you learn to play a lick or a song or a riff, that's fine, but that's just one thing. If you learn a concept, you can apply that to everything you know, and it's going to be a big thing. So you actually, the best things taught are not the ones where people show you where to put your finger, but, you know, new concept that you can apply to everything you know. And I'm just shamelessly going to plug my courses here. That's, of course, what I teach there. I try to, you know, convey things that are going to be useful on all the things you've already done. So you can progress faster than if you sit down in the woodshed and try to learn one new thing. That can take weeks, you know. So I'm happy to hear that, Duke. Nowadays, lace sensor pickups in the Fender SSS Strat is very rare. Yeah, I had these a very long time ago when I was like a beginner electrical guitar. I think I had them, I don't know why I had them in some Strat. I think Clapton also had them. You're saying they were noise cancelling? I'm guessing they might have been, yeah? Maybe that's why they weren't so popular. General noise cancelling pickups don't have twang to them, but they have good properties when you want to turn up the gain. But so what that means for single coils, it usually means they're stacked. So these are humbuckers, and you have two picks on the side of each other. But if you put two on top of each other, you get a stacked single coil, which is noise cancelling, and it's actually not a single coil. It is a humbucker, but it has a different disposure. Okay, Kizar, I'm gonna try to remember searching in my inbox for your message. Kizar, I have 2 Strats, but only one real Fender Strat. Thank you, Bobbin, for digging me as a guitar teacher. I really feel amazed when you play softly. That's awesome, man. Awesome, man. so the techniques I recommend, that's a great question, by the way, to get I think any technique that involves the right hand fingers is really good, because I think the fingers have a different sound to them. They do have a, I don't know, different texture compared to, especially when there's a little difference, but when you play a fast run with many notes, that little difference gets amplified. So I would say anything with hybrid picking, so hybrid legato, that's definitely one of my go-tos. I like something which I like to call pigato, where I combine picking and legato. So it sounds like I'm picking every note, and it sounds very difficult, and I'm not saying it's easy, but it's harder. It looks harder than it is because I'm doing a lot of legato here. So pick, 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 like that. So I'm using like 3 pick strikes and then 3 pull-offs, which is much easier than trying to pick every note. You know, I can, if it's a good day, I can do that, but that technique is hard to improvise with, so I don't use it a whole lot. Now let's see if I can do it. Okay, that's picking every note. Hard. Okay, so that's tricky, whereas what I do is pigato. I combine picking and legato. Then I like various different arpeggio techniques. So maybe they're not like a technique, it's more of a like mix between theory and technique. But you know, I would say having a flexible arpeggio technique is key, because I throw in these arpeggios in my runs as well. So even if I'm doing something looks like a linear run, I have these arpeggios all the time, and they're a basis for a lot of the phrases, even, you know, whether they're fast or slow, always doing arpeggios. So these runs have arpeggios all over them. So that's, I guess, a good combination, a description of at least the faster stuff, some of the most important techniques. So what did I say? I said hybrid picking and hybrid legato. Pigato, basically combining picking and legato, and then different arpeggio techniques. So only 4. What's the number 5 gonna be? Maybe, I guess that would be different ways of manipulating the pitch, namely with bending and vibrato. It's hard to beat, because that's what makes the electric guitar so cool. Like on a classical guitar, you can't really hear the bends very well. And on a piano, you can't hear them either. Just to, you know, I'm just kidding. But, you know, when you have a string that you can manipulate like this, it has its disadvantages. It's a little hard to play in the beginning compared to piano. But once you've learned to play it, that becomes a strength. The fact that you can bend the strings in various different ways. You can do these subtle blues bend that barely can be heard, you know? These can barely be heard, whereas you can do like a big Gary Moore, whatever, and you know, and everything in between. So that would be number 5. Many popular Strat players have signature models with Fender Strat, but not with Squier. But why? Why Fender Squier has very rare Strat? Is it because of its build quality? Yeah, good question. Maybe you know, if we're speaking about if it's like a signature guitar that the artist really is using, maybe on tour, maybe in the studio, everywhere, then the small details matter. So, you know, maybe the Fender line has a better selection of wood, not because it sounds better, but maybe it's lighter. So if that artist wants to use the guitar for gigging 300 days per year, then if you can get down in weight, that's going to be super important. Just an example. Maybe also small differences in the setup is going to affect the tuning stability. For example, if you have like a floating bridge, if it's like on a Strat, it can be really tricky because you don't have any locking stuff here. So then very small differences in setup is going to determine that tuning stability. That might not be a big issue if you're not in the studio recording, or you know, most of us, if you're a little bit out of tune, just a little bit, we can just quickly tune and play for another hour and we're good, you know. But if you're in the studio, that stuff can be sensitive, time is sensitive, you know, all these little details. There's tends to be better, slightly better quality inspection, slightly better selection of everything, and a guitar is just as good as the sum of its components. So that adds up, and Squier guitars can be awesome, you know, but maybe quality control is not as consistent, or maybe they simply let stuff through because it's a cheaper guitar, which means that you can find an extremely good Squier, but you can also find 3 ones that aren't as good. So if you know what to look for and you're in a guitar store, you're gonna buy that 4th guitar. Maybe it's almost as good as the Fender, or maybe it is as good. Maybe it's better, even though it might have cheaper components that break a little sooner. Maybe it has a better 2 pieces of wood that work better together, or something like that, you know? So I would say probably the reason is for consistency. If you're gonna put your name on the guitar, you want it to consistently be good. You don't want to scam your fans by charging like $3,000 for a guitar, and it turns out that particular one you bought wasn't really up to par, you know. That kind of thing might affect. Man, play good guitar. Man, happy. I like it. So I don't know if that makes sense, Babin. Español aplicación para traducir. I hope you can translate the video. Yo no hablo español. Yo soy de Suecia. When you're playing, do you think about the notes and stuff, or you only play like something nationalistic? Joe Peterson, that's a good one. When I play, do I think about the notes or do I just feel? So I saw an interview with Pat Metheny, and he expressed it well. It's like when you're finally performing, you should not be thinking. The thinking is what you do when you practice. And for improvising, you need to practice a lot of years note selections. So you're going to be thinking a lot, but when it comes to perform, then you want to choose something you're comfortable with. Maybe a chord progression that you know really well how to solo over, or, you know, a song you know well, whatever. So, and the idea is that you choose something you're so comfortable with, you no longer have to think. It might sound like a cliche, but it can actually be felt by the audience if you're thinking or if you're feeling, you know. If you're into the groove and just jamming along and playing and not thinking, where do I go next? You know, that's going to be reflected in your overall performance. Trust me, to 100%, that's how it works. So, and the same is true here when I'm trying to perform, you know, when I'm jamming and I want it to sound good, I'm not thinking. But in these sessions, I also warm up, I also practice. And when I do that, I think. So that would be my answer. Serious questions. Have you ever played a Bollywood song on guitar? No. I don't know any Bollywood songs, and I don't play cover songs. So chances of me playing a Bollywood is not that high in this moment, at least. Have you ever designed a Fender Strat in a mod shop? I'm waiting for Fender to celebrate its 80th anniversary, and for now, and for new American Strat mods. But old nostalgia is Fender American Strat. Yeah, no, I've never designed any Fender in a mod shop. Beratsan, yo, my man, what's up, Beratsan? How do you approach creating a solo that tells a story? So it's been a long time since I actually wrote solos, but I try to tell stories when I improvise, you know, by repeating a motif. So repetition is key. You find a few notes and then you apply variations to them and you repeat the theme. And that's how you know, build like a melody and a story, as opposed to just going all over the place randomly, you know? If I just were to do this, maybe that's cool, but there's no melody here. It just goes up and down. You know? Whereas if there's a motif, like... then I can add the fancy stuff in between. And then maybe come back to that, the melody, you know. That's how I would approach like building a solo. And you have to repeat something. And you could start with your favorite lick, the one you tried to avoid because you played so much. Use that one and throw in a little variation, you know, and then play a run, go back to it and throw in another variation. And that's a good way to build a solo. Homero, nice guitar, thank you. Quintilla, nice Wolfgang. You people are digging my guitar on Instagram. Still love the old Fender American Standard King American model. The first American model produced in '84 during Dan Smith era. How do you think about Fender American Standard? Yeah, I have a Fender American Deluxe. I love that. I would love to get myself another Fender Strat, like I would like a 6-point trem, so like more like vintage voiced, and maybe with true single coils, not noise cancelling. So more of a twangy, bluesy guitar, you know. The one I have is more modern vibe. I love it because I've scalloped it, and it's like my Yngwie style guitar. Although maybe a better starting point would have been a vintage guitar for that, because Yngwie does play vintage strats. But anyhow, for me it works. I don't complain. But it doesn't do twang and that kind of thing. So I would love maybe an American Standard for that. No, I don't. Well, I don't think the American Standard is like 6-point, is it? That also has a modern trem, 2-point. I'd rather not have that. There was a guitar store in Bremen looking just like you, even though he was you. Oh, I thought it was you when I first saw him. Yeah, so in Bremen, where is that? I'm in Stockholm, Sweden, and I never go to guitar stores, so it probably wasn't me. It would be fun to go to a guitar store, though. I just have a very poor experience from visiting them. Yeah, maybe a custom shop Strat. That sounds expensive, though. I've had a couple of Strats over the years, but I can't jive very well with them. The volume knob always feels like in my way. It's true, it's true. The volume knob is special there. So again, for a lot of modern playing styles with higher gain, maybe you're not fiddling with the volume knob all the time, so it doesn't make sense to have it as close. But for a lot of if you're just plugging into a tube amp and you want to control the gain, it's hard to beat having the control there, because it's like having your overdrive pedal at the tip of your fingers. So what you would do is dial in the tone with the volume turned midway on the guitar. And if you get a good tone there, then you can just turn the knob up and you have this amazing overdrive pedal built into your guitar. That's kind of how you have to look at it to understand why it was placed there. Cool, guys. So I'm going to have to end the stream now. We kept going for 1 hour and 50 minutes. That's pretty awesome. I like it. Time just flies when we do these. But you guys have been amazing. So many good questions and so many cool topics. I really like how we're, starting to discuss, the industry in general, and you get to hear my lousy opinions on everything. That's a lot of fun. And thanks for asking, by the way. But I hope we're going to meet soon again. I'm going to go in and to my family now. They're waiting for me. And I'll see you very soon again. Have a good one. Cheers.